Morning as we go to the chitas of the day. Holding the new portion, the portion of Vayechi, the last portion in the book of Genesis. So holding on chapter 47, the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshis, chapter 47, verse number 28. Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim, Yaakov lived in the land of Mitzrayim. Sheva Eser Shana, Yaakov lived for 17 years. Vayim Yaakov, and it was the days of Yaakov Shnei Chayav, the years of his life was Sheva Shanim, 7 years, V'aboyim Umar Shana, 147 years he lived. So Rashi says, why is this section completely closed? You're looking at Torah, there's no separation between the previous parsha and this week's parsha. They are one right after the other. They're basically one right after the other. Why are they one right after the other? So Rashi says, because when Yaakov Avinu passed away in this week's parsha, the eyes and the hearts of the Jewish nation became dark, because the misery of Golus, the exile, started to come into the Jewish nation. Another explanation is that Bikesh Yaakov legalit saketz. Yaakov Avinu wanted to reveal to his children when the end of days will be, when Mashiach is going to come, and that's why Nista Be'ema, suddenly it was closed for him. He couldn't see the end of times. Yisrael, it came closer, it came draw to Yisrael, for Jacob to die. He called his son Yosef. He called his son Yosef. He told him, if I find pleasing in your eyes, put your hand underneath my thigh, and do for me a kindness, a true act of kindness. Al Nasik Virenim and Mitzrayim, do not bury me in the land of Egypt. So now she says that everyone whom it stated the words draw near to die did not attain his lifespan of his forefathers, because Isaac lived to 180 years old and Jacob only lived to 147. So in relatively he died young. Connection with David, the expression is drawing near is mentioned. His father lived for 400 years. Yishai lived for 400 years. And David only lived for 70 years. So he really died, relatively to his father, he died very young. He called his son Yosef out of all of his sons, because Yosef had the power to do that. And since Yosef had the power to do it, he called him. Simna Yotcha, put your hand underneath, put your hand, that's a concept of shvur, hold something when you make a shvur. Chesed ve'emes. So this is a general, the Gemara says, loving kindness that one does with the dead is a true loving kindness. Why? Because the person cannot repay him, cannot thank him, cannot repay him. So therefore, that's a real chesed ve'emes. That's a real true act of kindness, going to a funeral, etc. Al nasik vireni, because the soil of Egypt will ultimately turn into lice, which will crawl under my body. And because those who die outside the Holy Land will be resurrected, except with the pain of rolling through the underground passages. That means it's brought down that those who are buried out of Israel, when Mashiach comes, there'll be the resurrection of the dead. They'll have to crawl to Eretz Yisrael. So I didn't want to do that. Number 4 is that I don't want the Egyptians to make an idol worship out of me. They'll all come to worship me, because I brought prosperity to Egypt. And I want to be buried with my fathers. And therefore carry me from the land of Egypt. And bury me in their grave, in the grave in Eretz Yisrael. He told him, I will do that. First of all, here we see the concept of taking care of oneself before he passes away. Pre-burial, that we find that in the Torah. And here Yaakov Avinu made sure to take care of all his aspects before he died. Didn't just rely on his kids to take care of his burial. He made sure to take care of it. So Rashi says, so this is the grammar. Rashi says that the Shachafti Mavaisai, I'm going to go, there's two concepts. One concept of being buried, and there's another concept of going to heaven, going to my Father, so to say, in heaven. Verse number 31. He said, no, you need to swear to me. I know that you're going to, he said yes, but you need to swear to me. So he swore to him. And Yisrael and Jacob, Israel bowed himself to the head of the bed. So first of all, why did he bow himself to Joseph? Number one, although the lion is a king and he's the king, Yaakov, when it's time for the fox, bow to the fox. It's expression in the Gemara. When the fox is the king, then the lion needs to bow to him. So too, at this present time, Yosef had the power, and therefore Yaakov Avinu bowed to him. But it's interesting, he said he didn't bow to him, he bowed to the head of his bed. So Rashi says he turned around, he turned aside to the Shekhinah. The Gemara says that the Shekhinah, the presence of God, is at the head of the sick person. Another explanation, he prostrated himself to God because of his offsprings were perfect. And so far, none of them was wicked. So that means the bed was his family. And evident the fact that Joseph was king, and furthermore, even though he was captured amongst the heathens, he remained steadfast in his righteousness. So the Torah says the head of the bed means either to God or to God that he merited to have all righteous children, which is symbolic in the bed. Chapter 48, verse number 1. Came after these times, and it was told to Yosef, your father's getting very sick. So he took his two sons, as Menashe and Ephraim. So Rashi is able to Yosef. This Rashi a couple times this, that the verse is short, and he doesn't say who said it. Shem Ephraim, there are those who say it was Ephraim. It was his son. He would sit and learn with Yaakov Avinu. And when Yaakov got sick in the land of Goshen, Ephraim went to his father. He told his father, my grandfather's sick. He went back with his two sons because he wanted Yaakov Avinu should bless them. They told Yaakov, they told him his son is coming. He's Chazik Yisrael. Even though he was extremely sick, he strengthened himself. He sat down on the bed. Again, Rashi says it doesn't say exactly who told him. He said to himself, even though he's my son, he's a king, and I will bestow honor upon him. From here we learn you must bestow honor upon royalty, as Moses bestowed honor upon royalty. And these are the servants of yours will come down to Egypt. Rather you'll come down to me. And so Elijah bestowed honor upon royalty. You have to show honor to Malchus. Whether they're good or they're bad, you need to honor them. So Moshe Rabbeinu honored the Pharaoh, and Eliyahu Hanavi honored the king at that time. And even though they were not such righteous people, you have to show honor. Yaakov said to Yosef, El Shadi Nidei Elai. God showed himself to me. But Luz, in the city of Luz, Be'eretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan, and he blessed me. And he said, he said, I'm going to make you fruitful and cause you to multiply. Lakal Amen. I'm going to turn you into a congregation of nations. And the Satya Sa'adat says, I'm going to give you this land to your offsprings, everlasting inheritance. So now she says that this is already after he had all his children. So Yaakov is wondering. He announced to me another congregation of people was to descend for me. Although he said to me, a congregation of nations shall come for your existence. Meaning 3 nations. By a nation, he promised the birth of Benjamin. A congregation nation means 2 addition to Benjamin. I had no other children, but no sons are born to me. So Yaakov Avinu, thus I learned that one of my tribes was destined to be divided into 2. So now I never understood what the Eibishter meant. After the blessing that I'm going to have children, more children, that he's going to have a double children, and didn't know what it meant. So therefore now I know what it means. And therefore, this gift that God gave me, I'm holding you ready for many years. This gift that God gave me, that I'm going to have more children, so to say, more tribes. And now this time I'm going to do it. Therefore, the 2 sons that you have, in the land of Mitzrayim, until I came down to Egypt, Lihaim, they're going to become part of the tribes of Israel. Ephraim and Menashe, Keruvim, V'Shimon, Yeli. Ephraim and Menashe are not going to be my grandchildren, they're going to become my children. And they're going to be like the tribes of Reuben and Shimon. It's an amazing thing that he did over here. So before I came to you, they were born after you came, they went away from me. Until I came to you. Lihaim. What is important? Important that they are with the rest of the sons, that they receive the Chelik in Eretz Yisrael. That the land of Israel is not divided into 12. The land of Israel is now going to be divided into 13. And it's going to be Ephraim and Menashe are going to be 2 tribes. But you should know, if you're going to have any children more after this, they're not going to add another tribe. There's going to be only 2 tribes. If you have another child, which you didn't have, they'll be part of these 2 tribes. So if you have any more children, Hashem, they will be counted amongst my sons. But they were not included in tribes of Ephraim and Menashe, and will not have a separate name regarding the inheritance. Now, although the land of Israel was divided according to their heads, population of the tribes, so it doesn't really make a difference per se. As written to the large, you shall increase inheritance, and each man received an equal share, except for the firstborn. Nevertheless, these Ephraim and Menashe were called tribes regarding the ability to cast a lot in the land according to the number of the names of the tribes. So even though each person got the same inheritance in the land of Israel, each Jew got an inheritance in the land of Israel, nevertheless, they divided the land into tribes, and there was a part of the land of Israel that was Menashe, and there was a part of the land of Israel, Ephraim. As we know later in the Torah, the Menashe, Chati Shevet Menashe, half of the Shevet Menashe received with the other tribes over the Jordan. When I was on the way to Padan Aram, Rachel passed away upon me. Be'eretz Canaan, the land of Canaan. Be'derech, Kivras Eretz Lo Ephros. As we were traveling to Ephros, I was on the way, and your mother passed away. And I buried her on the way. Why is Rashi's bothered? Why is Yaakov Avinu telling him this? He knows this. He was a child. Yaakov Avinu is telling Yosef, even though I'm asking you a big favor, I'm asking you to travel from Egypt to Eretz Yisrael, to bury me in Eretz Canaan. That's a big bother. It took many months to travel from Eretz Canaan to Eretz Yisrael. I didn't do that to your own mother. She passed away not far away from Hebron. Beis Lechem is not far away from Hebron. And you can go and count it. It's a measure of land, 2,000 cubits, equivalent to measure of Shabbos boundary. A distance person walks on Shabbos. According to the statement of Moshe Darshan, the preceding material should be considered parenthetic. The following is Joseph's explanation why he did not bury Rachel in the cave of Machpelah. Should not say that the rains prevented me from transporting her and burying her in Hebron. It was a dry season when the earth was riddled, full of holes like a sieve. So why did I bury her in Hebron? That's where the matriarchs and the patriarchs are buried. But I buried her in Beit Lechem. She's buried, Rachel's buried in Beit Lechem. And I did not take her even to Bethlehem to bring her to the land, into an inhabited region of the Holy Land. And I did not, I know that you hold it against me. I know that you have this against me, that I didn't do it. But you should know that I buried her by divine command. I didn't do it because I was lazy, because I didn't want to, but because the Eibush just told me to bury her in Beis Lechem. Why? Because when the Nebuchadnezzar exiled them, the Israel, they passed by there. They passed by their mother's grave, Rachel's grave. As it says, Rachel will emerge from her grave and weep and beg mercy upon them. As it says, a verse is heard on high. Lamentation, bitter weeping. Rachel is weeping for her children. Rachel mevaka abaneh. And the Holy One, blessed be, answers her. There is a reward for your work, says the Lord. And the children will return to her own borders. So that's why I buried her in that place. And so Yisrael saw the children of Yosef, and he said to them, who are these? So Rashi says that when he attempted to bless them, but again, suddenly the Shekhinah was drawn from him. Because terrible people are going to come out of Menashe. Jerome and Avad, who were descendants, from Ephraim, and Yeshua and Jesher, who were the sons who were destined for Menashe. So Yerucham ben Avad was the king of the northern kingdom, and Achav was Omri who was the children of Menashe, who brought idols into the Beis Hamikdash. So he was not too happy with them, even though we're talking about thousands of years later. So he said, who are these? Suddenly he didn't recognize his grandchildren. Here he's going to make them the tribe, and suddenly he didn't recognize them. So he said, where did they come from? He thought maybe that it was because of his son, that they are unworthy of blessing. So he thought maybe Yosef, something was wrong with Yosef. Yosef said to his father, what do you mean, Banahim? They are my children. Which God gave me with this. He said, if so, bring him and I will bless them. So Rashi said, with this, he showed him documents of betrothal and a ksuba. And then Yosef decided to pray for mercy from God, that the Shekhinah, the presence of God, should come back to Yaakov. So then it came back to him, the Spirit of God. This is what Scripture referred to. It states that the Holy One traded into Ephraim. He took them on his arms. I trained my spirit into Jacob for Ephraim's sake, and he took them on his arms. It was a very traumatic situation. We now go to the Tanya of the day. Today is the 8th day of Tevis, and we go to the Tanya of the day, which is the beginning of the 7th chapter of Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe ended off the 6th chapter of Tanya that there are shalish klipas atmeis. There are 3 levels of total impurity, which all sins are that concept. So you understand that a sin is a concept of impurity, and that's where a sin receives its vitality from levels of total impurity. But you should know the animalistic soul of a Jew, that comes from impurity, from klippa, from the covering. Which clothes itself in the blood of man, what I mentioned before. And so to the soul of animals, beasts, birds, and fish, which are kosher. And you're allowed to eat it. But after that, for example, the life of a pig, for example, which is in kosher, comes from total impurity, which cannot be elevated. But animals, where do they get the lifeline? They get the lifeline, kosher animals, they get the lifeline for klippas noiga, for a cover that shines. So the key is called daimon bachila, and so too the life force that gives to every vegetation. The key is called what's the life force and the vitality to every utterance, every thought, mundane thought that contains no forbidden act. It has no connection to anything negative, has no connection to any sin. That I say whether it's a Torah permission or Rabbanon or rabbinic permission. The only problem is not that they're evil. The problem is that they're only not for the sake of heaven. So I didn't do a sin. So eating for the sake of living is not a sin. Eating for the sake of that's what I want to eat is not a sin, but it's not holy. So suddenly, what happens to this energy? What happens to the energy of food that I eat, not for the sake of heaven? I'm eating for the desire of my body and the lust of my body. Even though, what's wrong with that? I cannot live without eating. We need it for the body. You need to eat. Mamish. But still, you're right. I'm eating it to live, and living is a good thing. But you're not in the world to live. You're on the world to serve God. That's what we came on the world for. That's the purpose of our creation. We came on the world to serve God. So I'm not here in the world. I'm not eating to serve God. So I'm not service of God. I'm not doing it for the sake of heaven. To serve God with my body. So therefore, I didn't do anything evil. I did it for selfish reasons. And that's unholy. In this, spiritual intent is absent. When the spiritual intent is absent, then all these acts, utterance, and thoughts are no better than the vitalizing animal soul itself. That is the animal soul. That is the animal soul. The animal soul is not evil. That's the Yetzer Hara. When it turns the animal soul becomes a Yetzer Hara, becomes an evil inclination. That not only do I desire this food, I desire maybe non-kosher food or prohibited food. Not only do I desire thought, wasteful thought that has no purpose, I desire thoughts that are maybe not so good. Not that I just talk nothing, I start talking Lashon Hara. But the Nefesh HaBahamis, my animalistic soul, is not doing anything evil, doing things unholy. And those unholy things have their life force in Klippat Noiga. In a covering, it's a covering because it's unholy, but it's a covering that shines. And everything is this total thing. The soul with its actions, utterance, and thought flows and is drawn for the second gradation of Klippa and Sitra Achra, which is the fourth Klippa, which is called in Kabbalah Klippa Noiga. Klippa is a covering that shines. And within this Klippa, there's yet found a ray of holiness. Why? Because I can elevate it ultimately. I can still elevate it. It's not impure. It's just there. Because I've not elevated it. I've not made a Veda with it. If I'm not going to do something with, and I'll use the energy for a sin. Now I've used the energy for a sin. So I demoted it. So as I said before, you have three parts. You have three spaces in the world. A holy space, an impure space, and then a no man's space, so to say, in the middle, which is called the shus. You have something that's mutter, it's allowed. You have something that's asur, that's prohibited, and you have a shus, permitted. Just because it's permitted doesn't mean you have to do it. What's permitted, you need to bring it to the concept of holiness. That's my avodah. That's my obligation. And that's why this is called a world of action. Over here, it's a world of what you're going to do. That's why it's called a world of action. It depends what you're going to do. Hopefully, you're not going to do a sin. Hopefully, you're going to do a mitzvah. And hopefully, you're going to take everything in the middle and bring it to a holy aspect. It's all a world of action. The problem is, when I leave it to man, Rubi Kulei Ra, we always do negative. A lot of negative. We schlep all the good things and we bring it down to impurity. It's a little bit of good. From it comes the positive qualities in a Jew. I said before. So even the good qualities of a Jew, that a Jew does, when a Jew does good, when a human being does good, is a little bit of selfishness involved. He always does it with strings attached. He doesn't do things totally for the goodness of the concept of goodness. That's why the concept of burial is a true aspect of chesed shalemis, because you know you can't get a thank you for the person that you're burying. That's a lot of people go to funerals, not for the person that's being buried, but for the family. No, you're supposed to go for the person that's being buried. And then you're going for a chesed shalemis. And then you're going for a true act of kindness. So the klippas noiga, the klippa that shine, is an intermediary aspect. It's in the middle between three completely unklippas, which is evil, and the category of sanctity. Those are the three things. So you have kedusha, asur, prohibited, and klippas noiga, things that are mixed between good and bad. It's a capability of good and bad. It vacillates. That's the main important thing of man, that vacillates, right? So you see during the day, you daven in the morning, you daven in the afternoon, between shachas and mincha. What happens in between the shachas and the mincha? What happens? That's a big chunk of the day. If you think about it in life, how many mitzvahs do you do already every day? The biggest problems were in the middle of the day, when I do my work, when I do my thoughts, when I do my interactions with people. That's the majority of the day. That vacillates. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And that's eating for the tree of good and bad. Therefore, sometimes that middle goes down to evil. And sometimes it moves into holiness. And that's the most important thing in our obligation. That's when I take the bad and move it into good. For example, somebody eats good meat, he eats a good steak. He drinks good wine, kosher. Why? He does it to broaden his mind to the service of God. As the Gemara says, Rav would say, Rav would say, before I can go learn, I need to have a good wine. I need a good steak. Why? Because it broadens my mind. It opens my mind to godliness. That's why it says, if I follow, the Rebbe says, I'll give you all your needs. Why? Because I want you to serve God. And I want you to serve God through achava, through being comfortable. I don't want you to serve God through pain. So the more that the Rebbe gives me, that gives me the greater capability to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What happens if I do that? Then I take all the wine, the energy of the wine, and all the meat that is in klippas nega, that's in the middle, that vacillates, and I bring it as a carbon to God. And that's the whole concept of karbonis. Taking meat, taking animals, and bringing it to the Eibishter. Because the carbon is symbolic to the concept of animal, the world of animal, and bring it to God. How do you bring a carbon today? Is your shulchan, the Gemara says, your table, my table. My table that I eat on is a carbon. It's like bringing a sacrifice. I can eat for the sake of just eating, and I can eat for the sake of God. That's why the code of Jewish law is called Shulchan Aruch, like a set table. So too when somebody says a joke. You can say a joke just be a joker, and you say a joke to open up the minds to the people who are listening. To bring happiness and joy, to serve God with joy. And that's why you say a joke. Because you want to bring joy into people's lives. So therefore you say a joke, bring joy to the life that they can serve God with joy. Not these times you're a comedian. You're a comedian to make people happy. So they should be able to serve God in happiness. They shouldn't serve God in sadness. Like Rav himself did to his students. How he started off a lecture. He would start off his lecture with he would start his lecture with a joke. That's where the rabbis got the tradition to start the drasha with a joke. So Rava would start his lecture with a joke, so the students would become comfortable. Rava is making a joke. Wow, they got scared of Rava. Rava was a great tada, a great sage. So Rava is in front of them. They were petrified. So he said a joke. That gave the students comfortable that Rava is also like us. He can say a joke. And now open their minds to learn. And that's why Rava said a milsa b'dichasa. He said a humorous remark before I don't think Rava used the jokes that we say today, but he did say a milsa b'dichasa. And that's what the Alter Rebbe says. In essence, everything can be used l'shem shamayim. We're gonna go. Today is the 8th day of the month. The Tillim of the day, my friends. The Tillim of the day is chapter 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 44 to 48, and you do the chitas of the day. I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful day. In Mitcham at 10 a.m. today, we're going to have a class in the Chabad, a gateway to faith and trust in God. And also, you can find it over here on Torah Direct or on Zoom, this Zoom number, and you can come and participate in this class. I wish you all a wonderful day. I want to just remind everybody today at 9 o'clock also starts our matching campaign, our fundraiser for the year. I hope that everybody will participate in it and also will share it with your friends and your family, that they can also continue and help Chabad today on this special day.